Imagine a ship so massive, so luxurious, and so technologically advanced that the world believed it could never sink. It disappeared beneath the ocean in less than 3 hours. Thousands of passengers, from millionaires to migrants dreaming of a new life, stood on its decks unaware that a single moment would change history forever. For more than a century, we've been told a simple story. Titanic hit an iceberg and sank. But the real truth is far more complex. Hidden mistakes, overlooked warnings, human overconfidence, and decisions made years before the voyage all played a part in this tragedy. Tonight, we dive deep into the mystery behind the world's most famous shipwreck. Before we discuss why Titanic sank and who was responsible, we must understand the dream behind the ship. In 1912, Titanic wasn't just a ship, it was a floating symbol of power, pride, and progress. People believed nothing could defeat it. Journalists called it unsinkable. Passengers trusted it like a steel fortress. Its creators saw it as the peak of human achievement. As Titanic prepared for its maiden voyage from Southampton toward New York, excitement filled the air. Everyone felt they were part of something historic. But beneath that confidence, unseen forces were waiting. Dangerous ice, hidden design flaws, and quiet decisions were moving toward disaster. To uncover the truth, we must travel back to the beginning and examine how this tragedy formed. Titanic was created during a time when shipping companies were fighting to rule the oceans. The White Star Line wanted a ship that wasn't just big. It needed to be the largest, safest, and most luxurious vessel ever made. Their rivals already had faster ships, so White Star Line focused on size and comfort. Titanic became the symbol of human ambition. Everything was designed to impress, from the grand staircases to palace-like suites. The world believed technology had reached a point where disasters were impossible. Newspapers labeled the Titanic unsinkable. That label created dangerous confidence among passengers and crew. People trusted the ship so much that safety rules were ignored. The dream behind Titanic was to show the world what humans could achieve with money, technology, and pride. But that same pride and overlooked weaknesses contributed to the tragedy. Titanic's journey began in 1909 in Belfast, where thousands of workers built it piece by piece. After 3 years, it was finally ready for its maiden voyage. On April 10, 1912, Titanic left Southampton filled with excitement and hope. Families waved, newspapers watched, and passengers felt lucky to be on board. For the first few days, the trip was smooth and peaceful. The ocean looked calm and welcoming. But warnings about icebergs began arriving from nearby ships. These messages reached Titanic's radio room, but most were not treated as urgent. On the night of April 14th, the temperature dropped sharply. Danger approached while passengers relaxed. At 11:40 p.m., everything changed. Titanic struck an iceberg. Within minutes, the crew realized the ship was severely damaged. Panic spread slowly at first but grew as the truth became clear. By 2:20 a.m. on April 15th, Titanic disappeared beneath the ocean. It became one of the most shocking events in maritime history. The ship sank in a remote part of the North Atlantic. It was far from land and any hope of quick rescue. Titanic was about 370 miles south of Newfoundland, an area known for drifting icebergs. On the collision night, the sea was strangely calm. Sailors call it a dead calm, where the ocean surface looks like a mirror. This made spotting icebergs extremely difficult. Waves normally break around icebergs and create visible foam. But that night, the iceberg blended into darkness. The air was freezing, and the water was deadly. Anyone who fell in lost the ability to swim within minutes. The nearest rescue ship, the Carpathia, took several hours to reach Titanic's location. By the time it arrived, the Titanic was gone. Before the crash, Titanic continued almost full speed despite multiple iceberg warnings. The radio operators were busy sending passengers messages. They didn't understand the seriousness of the warnings. The lookouts had no binoculars because the key was accidentally left behind. This made spotting danger much harder. The temperature kept dropping throughout the night. The sky was clear with no moonlight. Captain Edward Smith believed the ship was safe at high speed. Many ships of that era made the same decision. Passengers enjoyed music and warm rooms, unaware of the danger around them. Even some officers believed Titanic could handle anything. But a deadly chain of conditions began forming. Cold weather, missed warnings, darkness, and poor visibility created the perfect trap. At 11:40 p.m., the lookout saw the iceberg. He rang the warning bell and shouted, "Iceberg right ahead." The bridge reacted instantly. The officer ordered a sharp turn and reversed the engines. But it was too late. Titanic was too large to turn quickly. The iceberg scraped the ship's right side. It sliced the hull in several places. The outside damage looked small, but inside it was fatal. 5 watertight compartments began flooding. The ship could only survive if 4 compartments flooded, not 5. The crew quickly understood Titanic was sinking. Water rushed in faster than the pumps could handle. Officers prepared the lifeboats. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone. Many lifeboats were lower half full because passengers did not believe the ship was sinking. As the bow sank deeper, the stern lifted higher. Lights flickered all over the ship. Titanic then split into 2 massive pieces. At 2:20 a.m., the ship disappeared beneath the ocean. Freezing passengers struggled to survive in the dark water. Responsibility for this disaster cannot be placed on one person. It was a chain of human errors. Corporate decisions and environmental conditions all contributed. The White Star Line reduced lifeboats to keep the deck beautiful. Experts recommended more lifeboats. Captain Edward Smith continued high speed despite multiple warnings. The ship's designers used materials that became brittle in extreme cold. Some steel and rivets failed under pressure. The lookouts lacked binoculars due to a simple mistake. Radio operators missed urgent iceberg warnings because they were overwhelmed. A nearby ship, the Californian, had turned off its radio for the night. Nature also played its role with calm seas and freezing temperatures. Small decisions and circumstances created the perfect disaster. Rather than a single villain, the tragedy exposed major weaknesses. Safety rules failed and communication failed. Human confidence was too strong. Titanic sinking is not just a story about a ship. It is a story about people. Panic spread as families faced heartbreaking choices. Some parents placed their children into lifeboats but stayed behind themselves. The ship's band continued playing to calm passengers. They played until the very last moments. Crew members moved through the ship waking sleeping passengers. They guided people towards safety even as danger grew. Many passengers helped others instead of saving themselves. Engineers stayed below deck to keep the lights on. They sacrificed their own lives to give others time to escape. The rule women and children first separated families. Emotional scenes unfolded on the lifeboat deck. After the ship sank, survivors heard the cries of hundreds in the freezing water. The rescue ship Carpathia arrived hours later. It found lifeboats filled with shock, silence, and grief. These stories show Titanic was filled with courage and sacrifice. The sinking shocked the world. Newspapers demanded answers. Governments launched investigations. Survivors gave heartbreaking testimonies. The tragedy led to major changes in maritime safety laws. Ships were required to carry enough lifeboats for everyone. Radio communication became mandatory 24 hours a day. No emergency message could be missed again. The International Ice Patrol was created to monitor icebergs. Over time, Titanic became more than a disaster. It became a lesson about human pride and the limits of technology. It symbolized how fragile even the greatest achievements can be. The wreck was discovered in 1985. It rests 2 miles below the ocean. The ship is slowly being claimed by the sea. More than 100 years later, Titanic still captures the world's imagination. Its story continues to raise new questions. The lessons continue to guide modern ships and sailors. Titanic slipped beneath icy waters long ago, but its story still echoes across generations. It reminds us how fragile human confidence can be. Small mistakes can shape history. Every life on board carried dreams that ended too soon. The ship now rests in darkness, but its lessons remain alive. Those lessons inspire books, films, and safety laws. Titanic is more than a shipwreck. It is a warning, a memory, and a powerful reminder of nature's strength. As we look back on that cold April night, we remember more than a sinking. We remember the people, the courage, the mistakes, and the legacy that changed the world forever.